What is happening, Magnus? So, the first reviews are out. Can we trust them? I don't know, but I still want to know. I still want to find out. Let's get it.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. They have shown the first 35 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine to a new audience, and we have a lot more details about what goes down in those first 35 minutes. In fact, some outlets did entire articles about what they saw when they were shown the footage of Deadpool and Wolverine. We will be talking about some spoilers, but I'll warn you before we actually dive into them for those who may not want to hear them. But without diving into spoilers, we still have a lot of
I'm willing to hear the spoilers. I'm not angry at all.
Great information, so let's go ahead and break it all down. And the best part about all of this is the people who have seen it, they're all saying that it's awesome, it's fantastic, it's an amazing movie based only on the first 35 minutes that they saw, and that the MCU is now back. No cap.
So at least the first 35 minutes are back. Okay.
Cap. What? No cap. What does that mean? It's what all that my fellow Gen Zers say.
In fact, here's what the very last paragraph of this article says. I walked into the screening of Deadpool and Wolverine's opening act as a jaded, former MCU fan who really didn't care about this gimmick project. I left with a smile on my face, a need to watch the entire film, and for the first time since Endgame, genuine hope for the future of me. And that is Matt.
Now look, let me tell you something. I hope it's true. I do. You know, I'm going to go see it, and I'm going to give you my honest review. That rhymes. I had to play at the game. Bars! But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's like you think it's a one-off. A gimmick project where they're not going to continue to do it right. So, I feel like this movie's going to be good, but I just don't know if they're going to continue to be good.
Perslow of IGN, their senior features editor. So Matt was checked out of the MCU, calls himself a former MCU fan, and thought that Deadpool and Wolverine was going to be a gimmick, was going to be nothing but fan service, I'm sure, because I've heard a lot of people say that, but he came out thinking what he just saw was fantastic, and he can't wait to see the rest, and he has hope for the future. So now let's dive into everything else that he said, including giving us a pretty good description of what the film kind of entails. He starts off by stating Deadpool and Wolverine is bigger than just another superhero film. It's more than just a sequel to Deadpool 2, and it might even be a vital turning point for comic book movie culture as a whole. Sounds hyperbolic, I know, but that's the impression I've been left with after watching the first 35 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine. IGN was recently invited to watch the opening act of Deadpool and Wolverine, which was then followed by a new trailer. This kind of lines up with what we thought before. We did a video about this a few days ago. We should be getting a final trailer at some point in time. It seems like they have it ready to go since they showed it at this screening. When we'll get it, who knows, because there's only about 14 days left until the movie comes out.
Much.
Seems like we should have already had it by now. But clearly Marvel Studios has a new trailer ready. Hopefully we get it pretty soon. He continues to state, those 35 minutes are as funny, crass, and violent as you'd expect of a Deadpool project. But beneath the gags is a weightier sense of purpose. Now, recently a lot of articles have come out, and they have actually talked about how deep Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be. So this is backing that up. And it also kind of tells us why he doesn't think that it's a gimmick project, because it actually does have depth to it. He continues, Deadpool and Wolverine actively and directly recognizes that there's an ongoing conversation about the quality of the MCU right now. And while we don't know for sure until the full cut of the movie releases on July 26th, the fourth wall-breaking subtext seems to be a story that recognizes there's a lot of work to be done, and that the journey to reclaiming the MCU's former glory starts here. So there you have it, right there. Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, and he basically talks about how the MCU isn't what it used to be. Now, don't get me wrong.
Well, they already talked about him being MCU Jesus, so they know something's wrong. So,
still enjoyed the MCU very much. However, I do fully admit that they have given us some very bad projects. I still love the MCU and I still enjoy really most of it. However, I will say though, to me, I haven't really felt how I felt with Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame, or really just that exciting feeling that you get when an Avengers movie comes out in general. I just really haven't felt like my excitement has been at that level in a very long time. It is now with Deadpool and Wolverine. And it seems like that's for a very good reason, and it's very intentional. Deadpool and Wolverine specifically set out to increase the quality and standard of MCU projects from here on out. And they continuously, it sounds like, at least in the first 35 minutes, address the fact that Deadpool really is Marvel Jesus. He's the savior of the MCU. He is coming to save it.
I hope
But
so.
continuing with the article, they state, without spoiling anything, it seems like Marvel Studios really values the unification of its beloved characters. That's already fairly obvious. This is an MCU film featuring Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, after all, but the film doesn't treat their presence as a joke or a simple IP transference. The opening half an hour is really dedicated to providing in-universe reasoning for how they're able to be a part of the same universe as Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Thanks to the Loki TV series' introduction of the Time Variance Authority and Matthew McFadden's casting of TVA Agent Paradox, you can likely already guess the very basics of the official lore behind the uniting of the different film universes. But I think the way Deadpool and Wolverine's writing team, plus presumably a bunch of editorial minds from Marvel Studios HQ, have plotted out the convergence of the Fox and MCU universes is genuinely satisfying. That is something that is great to know. It tells us a little bit, but not too much at all.
That hearing that satisfying is good to hear, because our song as of late, the past few years, have been "I can't get no satisfaction."
It obviously tells us that, hey, the TVA, they're there, right? And we are in the multiverse saga. So we basically already know the lore and the mechanics behind different universes coming together. And I'm actually hoping that this movie provides a little bit more clear information about how the universes and timelines actually work. Hopefully we get some big clarification about that. But here's where this article gets into some really juicy stuff. They
Spoilers.
say the first 35 minutes includes some great deep cuts that will have comic readers punching the air. The presence of the TVA
in a
means
good way or bad
Deadpool
way.
Wolverine gets to play around with variants. And it has as much fun, if not more, with the concept than Loki did. You won't get any clues here, but the first 35 minutes include some great deep cuts that will have comic readers punching the air. One in particular is something fans have been waiting years, no, decades, to see on screen. Now, since somebody has already leaked what has happened in the first 35 minutes, we know what this is, and this is your official spoiler warning if you don't want to know. We are talking about a fight right now.
The Hulk
this
and
is
Wolverine?
the Hulk versus Wolverine. The person who
thought.
leaked what happened in the first 35 minutes already told us there is a Hulk versus Wolverine scene, and as we suspected from that trailer, people have not been waiting decades to see Wolverine fight Sabretooth. Don't get me wrong, it's super cool, but that's not really been on fans' minds since the first X-Men film.
Yeah, not at all. Don't care.
First X-Men film came and we saw Wolverine live action, and then we saw the Hulk's
Maybe a more comic accurate one I'd want to see a fight with.
live action film. We have wanted a Hulk versus Wolverine, and comic book fans, that's what they want as well. Sure, there's a history of Sabretooth and Wolverine in the comics, but again, what have fans been waiting for? We've been waiting.
If you have not seen the Hulk versus Wolverine cartoon movie, watch it. It's one of the greatest comic book cartoon movies of all time.
For the ultimate fight, Wolverine versus the Hulk. So that is what they are talking about here. We're finally getting that epic scene. That's probably one of the best leaks that we've heard so far about this film, is that we are finally getting that scene. But according to this same article by IGN, they state, but it was the way these fan service elements were wrapped around concepts and fourth wall breaking jokes about the MCU as an entity that interested me the most. So they basically tell us right here, hey, it's done in a really great way. It's not cheesy. And it can be cheesy when you do a lot of fan service, but it sounds like everything has a pretty deep purpose and meaning in this film. And nothing really feels cheesy or forced. And it does really help that Deadpool can break the fourth wall. But the article continues. As I said earlier, Deadpool and Wolverine knows that some fans are not happy with the MCU right now. It wants to have a dialogue with them. It wants to demonstrate that things are back on track with a movie that not only provides genuine good fan service, but also proves that Marvel Studios can still make films that make you sit up, pay attention, and get invested. And that was the second to last paragraph. I already read you the last paragraph when we started it out. I Scorsese'd it.
Okay.
I bet you he thinks the MCU is cinema now. But this is fantastic news. This is a fantastic review that IGN gave of the first 35 minutes. And I've also seen some people online who had the opportunity to see the first 35 minutes as well state that, yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of what you expect, but more. And this was a pretty in-depth review of the first 35 minutes. I'm glad that we got this because it really does give us perspective on how the movie is going to be. It is going to be deep. It is going to be violent, but there is going to be purpose behind every single thing that they do, including all of the variants and cameos that happen. And fortunately for us, none of it is going to feel cheesy. It's all going to feel just really great. And this is really giving a lot of people genuine hope for the future of Marvel Studios, and the excitement now is at an all-time high. We're only 2 weeks away, not much longer left to go. I'm super excited, but let me know how excited you are in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video.
Good job, Warren. Thank you for bringing that to us. Get over and follow the Cosmic Wonder. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you. How are you feeling? I am feeling very hopeful. 10 million subscribers. Woo!